Breaking news! Something is happening behind the scenes at the Ravens front office, and it's sending fans, analysts, and even rival teams into a frenzy. It's the kind of move that seems to be setting the stage for something bigger, something unexpected, a move that could turn the AFC game upside down. We're not just talking about rumors. There are strong indications that Baltimore is about to pull off another big surprise. But what exactly are they planning? And who will be the next to wear purple and black? But before we get into the details, don't forget to like this post if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you want, leave a comment right now saying, "Go Ravens!" Let's fill the comments with purple pride. Now, let's analyze what could be the Ravens' next impactful decision. Late last night, the Ravens pulled the trigger on a move that's already got the whole fan base talking, acquiring edge rusher Draymond Jones from the Tennessee Titans in exchange for a conditional fifth-round pick. And yes, we need to talk about what that means, but what's even more intriguing is what's coming next. Because from everything we're hearing, particularly from one of the most plugged-in insiders in the business, Jeff Zrebiec from The Athletic, Baltimore might not be done. In fact, far from it. Here's the thing. Jones enters the Ravens defense and instantly becomes their leader in pressures with 19, surpassing even Travis Jones. He's versatile, he's disruptive, and he fills a glaring need. But it also raises a massive question. Was this just the opening move in a bigger plan? According to Zrebiec, there's strong belief that Baltimore could be eyeing additional reinforcements either on the offensive or defensive line. He didn't mince words either, responding to fan questions by suggesting another trench move could be coming. That's important, because when Zrebiec talks RAVENS, fans and front offices alike listen. The man knows what's happening behind the curtain. Naturally, this sent Ravens fans spiraling into the usual wish lists. Jeffrey Simmons, Quinnen Williams, those names got thrown around like candy on Halloween night. But here's the cold reality. Zrebiec shut those dreams down quick. Simmons, off limits. The Titans made it abundantly clear. Simmons and Cam Ward are untouchable. Even a second-round pick, which would normally be a serious offer, wouldn't sniff Simmons' availability. That's how highly Tennessee values him. As for Quinnen Williams, Zrebiec described that potential trade as a surprise if it were to happen. Not impossible, but highly unlikely. The ask from the Jets? A first-rounder and more. And while you could argue that Quinnen is worth that young, elite talent, perfect scheme fit, Zrebiec doesn't see Baltimore making that kind of high-stakes move. And frankly, history backs him up. But let's pause for a second. If Simmons and Williams are off the table, where does that leave us? This is where things get even more interesting. Because the Ravens do have money to play with, over $15 million in cap space even after the Draymond Jones acquisition. They have the financial flexibility, they have the need, and they still have time. One name that keeps popping up is Kevin Zeitler. We've heard whispers about him for days, and he makes perfect sense. Veteran guard, familiar face, immediate upgrade on the interior offensive line. But here's the weird part. Why hasn't it happened yet? It almost feels too obvious. If you were going to make that move, why not package him with Jones in one deal? That would have made sense. 2/5 maybe. Simple, efficient, done. So, why hasn't it materialized? Maybe it's hesitation from John Harbaugh. Maybe the front office was holding out hope for Daniel Falale or Andrew Voorhees. But if we're being honest, and you know we are, those guys haven't proven enough to earn that kind of patience. Falale especially has looked outmatched at times, and the Ravens can't afford to be sentimental with the postseason looming. There's also talk about Joel Bitonio, the veteran guard from the Browns. Not the flashiest name out there, but exactly the kind of low-drama, high-reliability piece that this offensive line could desperately use. Think about it, plug Bitonio in, give Lamar a clean pocket, let the offense breathe. That's the kind of move that wins you games in December. And then there's the defensive tackle market. A couple of names to watch: Sebastian Joseph Day, also from the Titans, and maybe most compelling of all, Calais Campbell. Yes, that Calais Campbell, the veteran leader, the locker room cornerstone, the guy who still has gas in the tank and a whole lot of unfinished business in Baltimore. Campbell just played Monday Night Football with Arizona and dominated. And sure, the Cardinals aren't in sell mode after a big win over the Cowboys, but that doesn't change the fact that Campbell would be a seamless cultural and schematic fit. The reunion would feel right, and more than that, it would feel earned. If you're Eric DeCosta, what's stopping you from going all in? The window is open. Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP caliber level. The defense, despite injuries, is among the most tenacious in the league. And now, with Draymond Jones joining the trenches, there's a clear signal. Baltimore is not just looking to compete, they're looking to contend. So why stop short? Let's dig into why this matters so much. The AFC is a war zone. The Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills are all in the mix. There is no room for almost. You either load up for a deep playoff run, or you get left behind in the wild card haze. And right now, the Ravens can't afford to be left behind, not when everything feels so close. Bringing in a guy like Kevin Zeitler or Joel Bitonio would immediately stabilize the offensive line. We know how crucial that is, not just for Lamar's safety, but for the entire run game rhythm. It opens up the play action, it gives Gus Edwards more room to burst through holes, and it gives Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman more time to develop downfield routes. The ripple effect from fixing the O-line is massive, and this team has seen what happens when you don't protect Lamar. The cost is too high, but here's the deal. If you're still staring at the defensive line, if you're still dreaming about dominance in the trenches, Calais Campbell should be your guy. He brings leadership, toughness, and knowledge of the system. You don't need to teach him anything. You just bring him in, plug him into the rotation with Mattabike, Pierce, and Jones, and let him go to work. You think offensive lines want to see that in January? Absolutely not. Campbell could be the final puzzle piece. He's the guy who could tip a divisional round game with one swat at the line, one sack on 3rd and long. And it's not just what he does on the field, it's who he is in the locker room. A mentor, a motivator, a Raven, through and through. That kind of intangible value, you don't put a price on it. You pay for it because it changes your ceiling. Now let's be clear, the clock is ticking. This isn't a wish list anymore. The trade deadline is here, and the Ravens have a decision to make. Are they comfortable being good, or are they ready to be great? Because that's what this comes down to. Not just who's available or what draft picks are worth. It's about how serious this team is about making a Super Bowl push now. Not next year, not after another offseason of almosts. Now, Draymond Jones was a signal flare, a message to the locker room, the media, and the rest of the league that the Ravens aren't playing it safe. But that signal only means something if it's followed by action. Because the clock isn't just ticking, it's echoing through every hallway in the Ravens facility. And what happens in the next few hours could define the rest of the season. Let's be honest, with Lamar Jackson playing like a franchise quarterback, the defense holding strong despite injuries, and the offense showing flashes of dominance, this team is right there. But the margin between being right there and hoisting the Lombardi Trophy in February is razor thin. That's why fans and insiders are demanding more. Not just a tweak, not just depth, a bold, final stroke that says, we're going for it. The Draymond Jones deal was a great start. He's not just a body on the line, he's instantly the top pressure producer on this defense. But if that's all Baltimore does, it could be a missed opportunity. Because let's not forget, every other AFC contender is watching too. The Chiefs are going to reload. The Bengals are heating up. The Dolphins are aggressive. Baltimore has to match that intensity, not with hype, but with action. Calais Campbell makes too much sense to ignore. He's available, he's motivated, and this fan base already loves him. Bringing him back wouldn't just boost the D-line, it would reignite that veteran fire in the locker room. You need that in the playoffs. A voice that's been there before. Someone who knows what it takes to win, especially when the pressure turns postseason white hot. And on the offensive side, Kevin Zeitler is sitting there. A perfect solution to the offensive line woes. Lamar needs protection, full stop. Zeitler gives you that. He brings leadership, consistency, and the kind of interior dominance that buys your QB those extra seconds he needs to create magic. The Ravens have the cap space. They have the trade capital. The question is, do they have the urgency? That's where it all hangs. This isn't just about names. It's about momentum. It's about a front office reading the room, seeing how close this roster is, and having the courage to go all in. No more saving assets for a future that might never come. No more watching Lamar's prime years go undersupported. You've got the quarterback. You've got the culture. You've got the city